both a privilege and an honor to serve as the moderator for today's faculty development program. I, Dr. C.S. Mala Kumari Upadhyay, extend a warm and heartfelt welcome to each one of you as we embark on this enriching academic journey together. We begin this auspicious occasion with the inaugural session graciously attended by our distinguished guests, to include Honorable Vice Chancellor Dr. Vivekanand Pandey Sir, our Controller of Examination Dr. Sushil Kumar Sir, our Registrar and Deputy Director ARC Professor Dr. Kishore Bhattacharya Sir, the Head of the Institutions of Amity School of Business Dr. Rekha Tiwari Ma'am, and the Head of the Institution Amity College of Commerce and Finance Professor Dr. Ajit Kumar Sir. I sincerely thank you all for taking time out of your busy schedule to grace this occasion with your esteemed presence. I would also like to extend a warm welcome to the resource person for today's session, Dr. Nitish Nigam, Assistant Professor at Chandragupta Institute of Management, Patna, Dr. Parul Kumar, Deputy Director, Admissions and Examinations, and Assistant Professor, Faculty of Management at South Asian University, New Delhi. And though he hasn't joined right now, Dr. Dhaval Mehta, Professor, Veer Narmad South Gujarat University, Surat. Thank you, ma'am and sir, for joining us. We are confident that your sessions will both be insightful and highly beneficial for all the participants. As we gather here, let us reflect on the words of Albert Einstein. Intellectual growth should commence at birth and cease only at death. Faculty development programs like these stand as a testament to our shared commitment to the lifelong learning, continuous growth, and academic excellence. I now invite Professor Dr. Ajit Kumar, Head of the Institution, Amity College of Commerce and Finance, to graciously extend a warm welcome to our esteemed guests and address the gathering. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Mala ma'am. Thank you so much. Firstly, good afternoon, respected Registrar Dr. Kishore Bhattacharya, our esteemed guest or resource person, and my dear participants, as well as all the faculty members from Amity University, Patna. It's my privilege to welcome you all to this 5-day faculty development program on research methodology and hands-on data analysis using STATA. In today's academic environment, research is not merely a requirement. It is a responsibility. High-quality research forms the backbone of innovation, policy making, and academic excellence. However, the journey from identifying a research problem to producing meaningful results requires not only conceptual clarity, but also strong analytical skills. Thus, FDP has been thoughtfully designed to bridge that gap. Over the next 5 days, participants will engage in an intensive learning experience covering key aspects of research methodology, ranging from problem formulation, research design, and hypothesis testing, to data interpretation and report writing. What makes this program particularly valuable is its practical orientation, especially the hands-on session using STATA, a powerful statistical tool widely used in academic and professional research. We are fortunate to have with us distinguished resource person who bring a wealth of knowledge and experience. Their guidance will undoubtedly enrich your understanding and help you to gain confidence in applying these tools effectively in your own research work. I encourage all participants to make the most of this opportunity, ask questions, engage actively, and collaborate with fellow participants. Learning in such programs goes beyond lectures. It thrives on interaction and curiosity. I would also like to take a moment to appreciate the organizing team for their efforts in planning and coordinating this program. Your dedication has made this initiative possible. With these words, I once again extend a warm welcome to everyone. I wish you all a productive, insightful, and enriching learning experience. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir, for your warm and gracious welcome address. Your kind words set a positive tone and made everyone feel truly welcomed and valued. It is now my proud privilege to invite our Registrar and Deputy Director, ARC, Professor Dr. Kishore Bhattacharjee, sir, to address the gathering. Sir's visionary leadership and academic insight continues to inspire us all. We eagerly look forward to your words of wisdom. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Mala. Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible, sir.
Thank you so very much. And first of all, my warm greetings to all the distinguished speakers, Dr. Nitish Nigam, Dr. Parul Kumar, and Dr. Dhaval Mehta, the organizing committee members, and the esteemed participants. On behalf of MIT University Patna, once again, I would like to take this opportunity to welcome all the distinguished speakers and the esteemed participants to this 5 days faculty development program on research methodology and hands-on data analysis using STATA. As Dr. Ajit has already mentioned about the importance of research and its applications in today's academic environment, it is not just an essential requirement. We can say it is a defining element of quality education and institutional excellence. The ability to design meaningful research and analyze data effectively has become increasingly important for faculty members as well as the research scholars across disciplines. And this particular faculty development program is designed in a way so that it can strengthen the understanding of the participants about the research methodology, which also will provide practical exposure to data analysis by analyzing data using a very useful tool, STATA. I'm confident that this hands-on approach will help bridge the gap between theoretical knowledge and the real-world application of those knowledge. So I'd like to appreciate the efforts of the organizing team of MIT College of Commerce and Finance for organizing this or taking this great initiative to organize a faculty development program on this particular area, that is methodology and data analysis using STATA. And I wish the FDP a great success, and I hope that this program would be enriching and impactful for all the participants. All my good wishes to all the organizing committee members, and I hope this would be a great learning for all the participants of this faculty development program. Thank you from my side. Thank you, and once again, all my good wishes. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for inspiring and thought-provoking address. Your words have truly set a meaningful tone for the sessions ahead, and we do hope it will be a very productive and useful session for all of us. Thank you so much. Brad Henry once said, and I quote, "A good teacher can inspire hope, ignite imagination, and instill a love for learning." Today's program is thoughtfully designed not only to enhance our knowledge, but also to refine our research capabilities and broaden our intellectual perspectives. Research forms the very backbone of academic advancement. As in the words of Neil Armstrong, research is creating new knowledge. With these words in mind, I would like to give you a brief about what is going to be expected in this 5-day faculty development program, the topic for which is research methodology and hands-on data analysis using STATA. The first day will have 2 sessions by Dr. Nitish Nigam. Session 1 will deal with the introduction of research methodology. After that, we'll have a short break and session 2 will start, and it will talk about understanding the research process and role of STATA. 5th, 6th, and 7th of May, the 3 days that will come forward, will be hands-on session that will be dealt by Dr. Dhaval Mehta sir. It will talk about installation of data and data handling, data entry and cleaning. Then we'll have the descriptive statistics 1. Session 2 will be descriptive statistics session 2. Then interferential statistics 1. And then after the break, day 7, interferential statistics 2. So these will be the 3 days that will be hands-on session with regards to STATA, how to install that, how to handle that, and how to manage that. And this will be done by Dr. Dhaval Mehta. Day 5th will be a session that will be done by Dr. Parul Kumar ma'am. She will be dealing in the first session with ethical, technical aspects of research publications. And another session will be taken by her after break, that is do's and don'ts for publishing in reputed journals. So this is what we are hoping to cover in these 5 days faculty development program. So we now move to session 1 of today's FDP on the topic Introduction to Research Methodology, to be conducted by Dr. Nitish Nigam. We do hope this session will lay a strong foundation for understanding the systematic processes involved in inquiry and discovery. Dr. Nitish Nigam is an assistant professor in the Department of Economics at Chandragupta Institute of Management and holds a PhD in economics. His research is anchored at the intersection of environmental economics, behavioral economics, and public policy, with a focus on agriculture, climate action, energy transition, and sustainable development in the developing economies. He utilizes applied econometrics approach, particularly experimental and quasi-experimental methods, to identify causal relationships and generate evidence-based policy insights. Dr. Nigam is actively involved in policy advisory and research consultancies with ICSSR, Niti Aayog, and the Ministry of MSME, Government of India, multiple departments of the Government of Bihar. His works includes publications in ABC ranked journals, Harvard Business Impact Education, and Kurukshetra. He has presented his research as major academic and policy forums, including UNICEF, ISEE, IITs, and IIMs. He is proficient in R and STATA, which he applies to economic analysis, impact evaluation, and the design of evidence-based policies. Sir, I kindly request you to kindly proceed with the session and enlighten us with your words of wisdom. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much, ma'am. First of all, I would like to thank MIT University Patna for inviting me. I would like to thank Honorable Vice Chancellor, sir, Dr. Ajit, sir, Dr. Kishore, sir, for welcoming us. And I would like to specifically thank Dr. Asma and Dr. Avi for helping me with preparing this session. So just I'm sharing my screen. Is my screen visible?
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Okay. So this is the introductory session and the very first session of this FDP. So first of all, I would like to thank MIT University and welcome all the participants to this FDP. So basically, basically this session is about what is research methodology and what is the research process and what is the process from ideation to communication of a research idea and what is the role of STATA in this whole process. So I'll start this session. In the very first session, I'll be discussing about the research, an introduction to research methodology. And in the second session, I'll be discussing about the research process, like how we can convert a particular idea into a research and how we can communicate it. And then where the role of STATA is there in that whole research pipeline. So I'll start with a very basic question. How do we usually know something? Yeah. How do you usually know something? Like how do we know about something? Like it can be anything. It can be weather pattern. It can be seasonality, or it can be anything. Anyone?
Sir, through observing, through listening to people, through
Okay. Observation, listening. Anything else?
reading.
Okay. Reading. Anything else? Anything else apart from this? Observation, listening, or reading?
Experimenting.
Experimentation can be one thing.
Logical reasoning through deductive reasoning, like that, general to
Okay.
specific.
Logical reasoning, like our logical reasoning. Anything else? Okay. When you are confident about something, what is it usually based upon? Like if you are confident about like today will be a heat wave in afternoon. So why you are so much confident about it?
Previous information or the data we have collected.
Okay, data that we have collected or based on our experience?
Yeah,
Anything
prior
else?
experience.
Okay. Anything else?
More about the information we have received.
Okay,
Be
information that we have
justified
received.
through belief,
Okay, it can be based on our beliefs.
justified beliefs, yes.
Okay. It can be historical experience.
Sir, intuition, past experience.
Okay, intuition and past experience. Okay. Any other example? Okay, then next one. Can two individuals look at the same issue and reach opposite conclusion? Is it possible in current discourse or
Yes,
in
of
academic
course.
discourse?
Yes, of course.
Why? Like there is a data. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes, sometimes decade change and the result can be changed. The climate and the individual or the culture, if change, the data will be changed. There are so many
Okay.
factors that can change the same result in different context.
Okay. Yeah, like one individual can see something from their own perspective, from their own theoretical lens, or from their own disciplinary lens, but it can be different for someone else. Okay. Have you ever been very sure about something and later found you are wrong? You were wrong? Anything?
Yes, sir, that's too many times.
Any example? Any contextual example?
This is where our null hypothesis get right.
Sir, election results.
If we don't talk about research and data right now, maybe in the way we perceive people, perception about a particular person, we figure it out something is something different, and when we meet that person, the person is completely different. So that is one perspective through which we can see. Yes.
Basically, in research, we We write both the hypothesis, alternative hypothesis and a null hypothesis. Where here, where
Okay.
null hypothesis gets right.
Okay. So basically, through all these questions, we usually know something, but based on our observation, based on our uh, personal experience, based on expert comments, based on media, like what is going on in media. So basically, this is knowing the things, not the research, right? Because in this case, there are different perspectives from different people, but research is something that is a kind of systematic approach. So I'll be discussing that further in detail. What are the common ways of knowing? It can be personal experience, like seeing is believing. Like if uh, we are observing weather is very hot nowadays, so we can easily conclude that there is possibility of heat wave in next 5 days. But the current climatic condition has changed the scenario. Current, then again the expert and the authorities, like if an expert or a IS officer is saying that like Jivka is performing very well at all the districts, so we often believe that like they are reliable, but it doesn't mean that is always right or that is always replicable. Then popular and media messages, like media can tell something like Jivika has helped this much women in alleviating them from poverty, but the it cannot infer that like Jivika uh, is putting people out of poverty, right? Then ideological belief, like we have some fixed views or we have some personal perception that may also influence our what we know and how we infer the things, right? So like just I'm taking the example of Jivika only, like why do some Jivika SSG perform better than others? Like any example, any observation about this? Why do some Jivika SSG perform better than others?
Can you, sir, please tell more about what this Jivika SSG is?
Okay, so Jivika Self-Help Group is a poverty alleviation program supported by World Bank and have been adopted by Government of Bihar, right? So Jivika uh, is a is a kind of poverty alleviation program, and that is implemented. That project has been implemented by Government of Bihar with the help of World Bank, and the main aim of this group, this program, is to alleviate ultra poor out of poverty. So like there are several observations like Jivika SSGs perform better than other SSG. Anyone? Like why do some Jivika SSG perform better than others?
Sir, the
No.
comparison is between one Jivika unit and other Jivika unit.
Okay.
Is that a question, or Jivika and other programs?
No, no. The comparison is about Jivika SSG in Bihar and other like other self-help group like in Rajivika is there in Ranchi or in Jharkhand. So there are different self-help groups.
Yes, sir.
There are several poverty alleviation programs.
Sir, I believe I read somewhere.
Like there is one.
I read somewhere that since Jivika, Jivika self-help groups are mostly managed by women, so they are efficient compared to self-help groups which are run by men. So this is something I read earlier, but I'm not sure of the wider aspect of things.
Okay.
Sir, hello, sir.
Yes. Yeah.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah, sir. Basically, I have completed my research in this area only. So I want to add up. Basically, there is an alternative channel, banking channel, which is run under Jivika. And whenever some women is joining this group, by default, they will be having two plans. under
Okay.
Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana, they are having a Jeevan Suraksha Yojana and Jeevan Jyoti Yojana by default.
Okay.
So
Okay.
due to the penetration of this particular program, and we can say like financial literacy is also increasing in this area, and that's why that could be the reason why this particular domain people, women are performing more than better than other HSG women.
Okay, so that evidence is database or that is just a
It's a
comparison
database.
or
It's a database
okay,
evidence.
okay. So it is just a comparison or a counterfactual comparison.
I did primary as well as secondary data analysis on both the
Okay.
variables.
Okay, so which methodology you have used?
Mixed approach, so.
Okay, mixed approach. So you have studied for Bihar only.
I have studied for Bihar and it is based on Vaishali district.
Okay, fine. Anything?
Yeah,
Okay,
financial
so,
literacy is better. It's improving.
Okay, so like why Bihar, Jivika in Bihar is performing better than other states. So it can be based on the, we can say it based on the personal experience, or it can be based on your research.
Based on
Like,
research, sir.
Yes.
Based on research.
But there are several conclusions that we often read in newspaper, like Jivika performed better than other SSGs across India. Why? It may be because the SSGs that the team where the team visited were active and doing well. It can be based on few villages or a short visit, or expert and authorities like Bihar government or World Bank or JPAL, who is evaluating the impact of Jivika, has made a claim that like Jivika is successful due to training and credit linkage that you were discussed about. Then popular media messages, like there are several success stories from Jivika, for example, the Bank Sakhi Yojana or the Didi Ki Rasoi and so on. Then ideological belief, like the SSG empower women and the SSG is being driven by women. So that may influence the performance of Jivika better than other self-help groups, right? But still the counterfactual part, the scientific part is missing here. Like when we are talking about like Jivika is performing better than other SSGs across India. So basically it may be like, we can say that like women are counterfactual thinking and the research thinking. So basically in this, like when we talk about the personal experience, so basically in my field visit, the SSG I saw were active and doing well. So it can be very a small or a non-representative sampling. Like if I'm visiting a SSG in Patna, or we can say like nearby the district project office. So we often find them more active or they are doing well due to the support of NGOs and the Jivika district office. But that cannot represent the whole scenario for the whole scenario. Then next one is the expert or authority, like officials report a strong performance due to training, credit linkage or community and the institution. But based on administrative reporting, it may reflect target aggregation, lack independent verification and the counterfactual. Then again, the media, like success stories often highlight the empowered women and thriving SSGs that focuses on positive outliers. It may be the outlier. It cannot shows the mean reporting. It shows the only the positive things. Then they underreport the inactive or the struggling groups, and there is lack of systematic evidence. Then the ideology. Again, we have perception that like SSGs empower women or SSGs are subsidy driven and unsustainable. Like there are several notions related to SSG. So these conclusions are preset evidence is selectively used to support prior belief. Like for the first example, like SSG empower women. So there is we have presumption and assumption. Like SSGs empower women. Whenever we go to the field and we look only for that belief, so it may also influence our research or influence our conclusion. Then again, the SSGs are subsidy driven and unsustainable. Like for example, in Bihar, the current uh, there is a current discussion going on. Like is Jivika is sustainable in Bihar? Like World Bank is supporting right now Jivika project in Bihar, but is that sustainable in long run? So it like there are several beliefs that may influence our research thinking, our pre-notion. So like we often say in research, like there is no presumption. There is no presumption in research. Like we don't have to presume anything before going on the field or before looking into the data or before, like there is no presumption. It should be data driven, it should be evidence driven. Data doesn't mean only the numerical data. It can be observation, it can be uh, experiment, it can be qualitative data, it can be anything, but it must be backed by some evidence, right? Then what are the 5 errors that we often make based on our, whenever we make decisions based on our knowing, like what we are knowing or what we are observing, rather than a systematic approach? So overgeneralization. Like for example, if I have selected one village to study the performance of SSG nearby Patna or nearby Muzaffarpur, so the district program project office of the Jivika is hyperactive, and they have helped me to select all those 5 SSG, and of course those SSG are performing better. So we cannot infer it that like the Jivika works fine everywhere or Jivika works better everywhere. So a small sample cannot represent the lack of SSGs across Bihar. Then the subjective observation is there, like selective observation, like only noticing successful SSG during visit or reports. There are also inactive or struggling group that is being ignored by the group. So like the selective observation can make some error. Then the premature closure, like seeing higher income among the SSG members. So SSG causes income growth. So can anyone explain what does it mean? SSG causes income growth? Anyone?
Hello.
Yes.
What I understand, like it's a
Mhm.
generation of savings pool, and that is how they can increase the income.
Okay.
Each and every woman is contributing something on the weekly
No.
basis, and
Okay.
they're having
Okay.
meetings.
No, like you are explaining like how SSGs are contributing to income growth. I am asking that like SSG causes income growth. What does it mean? This sentence, SSGs causes income growth.
Income growth, because somehow it is elevating the level of income in among those women who are
So
member of
the
self-help group.
okay, so the lady who are the member of SSGs having more income in comparison to other women, right?
Yeah.
Like SSGs are influencing their income. SSGs are influencing their income, and those women who are the member of SSG having
they are more alert,
income.
they are more they have more economic participation, and they can take your own decisions in several terms like education and health of their child.
Okay, basically, when we talk about this statement, SSG causes income growth. So it shows that like the SSGs are directly influencing their income. But there are also several other factors that may influence their income. It can be their external income sources. It can be their educational level.
Yes.
It can be their family orientation.
Yes, sir.
There are several other factors that may influence their income growth rather than just the SSGs. So how we can say that, like we often talk in economics about the structural transformation. So it is about like initially the economy is the factor-based economy, then investment, then innovation-based. So in economy there is a structural transformation. So that structural transformation may also help them in alleviating their income. So how we can say that like SSGs are causing income growth?
So basically, sir, they will not be in the vicious circle of poverty. So once they
Okay.
will be like adding, saving
Okay.
something, so
Okay.
they can
Okay.
do some investments, and
Yes, yes, yes.
subsequently the income generation will go on. So if
But
the loop which is stopping them to fall into vicious circle of poverty, that will be over. So that is how we can
Yes,
say
there
that
is
HSG causes income growth.
but again, there are several other
one marker is, sir, that their disposable income has increased. Disposable
okay.
income has increased. They have saving habits. They have a much more bank balance than what they earlier used to have. So
Okay.
these
Okay.
are markers of income growth.
Okay. So
One
these are the
more point I
yes.
feel is that are we talking about individual women who are part of SHG, or we are talking about the whole unit of
No,
SHG? Because
like we are
right,
talking about the women, individual women.
okay, so income growth for individual women,
Yes,
not
yes, yes.
the income of the whole SHG. Okay.
No. Okay. So here, the SSG causes income growth. So you are talking about the disposable income or their right. So again, the increase in income can be attributed to several other government schemes. There are several other schemes for poverty alleviation are there in Bihar or in India right now. So then again, how we can say that like SSG causes income growth? Like there are several entrepreneurs, micro entrepreneurship program is there, ramp is there. So that may also influence their income. That may also influence their entrepreneurial aptitude. That may lead to their income growth. So
There could
again,
be multiple factors
yes,
apart from that, the exactly SSGs, participation in the SSGs, which might contribute to increasing their income. And that these factors could be at a personal level, at a structural level, at a policy level also,
at the institutional level.
at the institutional level, right?
Yes. So, like, we cannot say that like SSG causes income growth until and unless we have a counterfactual impact assessment or a comparison between two groups, then only we can say it like this. So, again, there is halo effect is there, like trusting program success because it is a flagship initiative of government of Bihar, lack of scrutiny of data due to institutional reputation. Then again, the false consequences. The other example can be like we often think that like a paper got published in FT50 journals or a star journal cannot have any discrepancies. So it also it is also an example of a halo effect. Then the false consequences, like within workshop, everyone agrees that SSGs are effective, but is it like that? No. Like there is mixed evidence of like how SSGs are performing across India. So these are the ways in which we know how things are working, like how we know any information, but that is not not a scientific approach of knowing something. So what is the scientific approach of knowledge generation? So it is about like science is a systematic approach to knowledge. What does it mean? Like when we talk about the systematic approach to knowledge, it means that like there are some processes, there are some steps, there is reproducibility, like we can reproduce that, we can question that, there are some framework that uh, that guides our thinking, like that guides our research thinking. Then it produces reliable and valid evidence, like the scientific, when we talk about any scientific research or a scientific approach, it must produce a reliable and valid evidence, like it must be backed by data, it must have used a reliable instrument to collect that data, it should not be unethical, and it uses the multiple methods and logics. Like I was talking about like the success of SSGs, like how SSGs have contributed to, or does SSGs impacted the income of the women involved in that group. So like when we talk about like how we can answer that question, So first answer can be like just we can compare the income of two groups. First, group one, in which the women are the member of SSG, and the other group in which the women are not the member of that SSG. So just the mean income, then subtract, then we can get the difference. But that is not the real picture. Like it may be the difference is maybe due to several, like it may be their family background, or it may be their educational background. There are several other things. So first, then we need to have a data, like we can take data for 5 years back, what was their income. In the, let's say group A income in year 2017, and then 10 years later in 2026, what is their income? So again, there are differences. So first, when we get the difference in income in year 2017 and then 2017, like that, let's say difference is X. And then again, their income in 2026, and again the income in 2000, income of both the groups in 2026. Then we call it Y. So the difference of X minus Y may infer the correct picture, like whether that the membership in SSG has influenced their income or not. It can be one way. We call it as a double difference method. Then again, there are several others, like we often discusses about a word called triangulation. Can anyone tell me what is triangulation approach?
Yes, sir. Triangulation is basically, hello, am I audible? Triangulation is basically a kind of data, like we have secondary data, and with survey method, we can collect the data, and then we can just check it that whatever information is there in the public domain, is it correct or not? So secondary data can be triangulated with primary survey. Hello? Hello?
You are audible, ma'am.
Good.
Yeah, so this is what I understand from triangulation.
Just so your voice is.
Hello?
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, you are audible, sir.
Okay. Sorry, I got disconnected. Okay.
Hello?
Yes, Vandana ma'am, you are audible.
Yeah.
So I was talking about triangulation. So the data which is available in public domain, which is secondary data, and further, suppose if we want to check it that the data is correct or not, so we can collect it and support with the field study, and then we can triangulate the result basically.
Okay, so triangulation is basically a kind of validation.
Yeah.
Like first, we have collected data from the secondary sources. Like there is evidence that like SSGs are influencing the income of the women. Then again, we have collected some data, so that we call it as a data triangulation. Again, there are, like we can also triangulate quantitative data with qualitative data.
Yes,
we can also triangulate. Yes, we can also triangulate based on several methodologies. Like first, we have a descriptive analysis. Then we have a any other methodology that we can use. Then again, some other techniques, right? So basically, a scientific approach is a kind of systematic approach to a knowledge, and it uses multiple methods and logic to validate our findings. Like I was talking about the double difference method. So in that method, we talk about like there is increase in income of SSG's member, right? So when we talk about the increase in the income of the SSG's member. So again, that double difference method is showing that like there is increase in the income of the women, but we need to check with it with other methods, or we need to check its robustness by taking some pseudo time frame so that we can validate our finding before making any causal claim, right? Like for example, just a very like a famous example by Jodia Pearl in the book of Why, like the crow speaks around speaks in morning, right? And again there is sunrise in morning. So what is your inference?
Crow speaks when the sun, like the sun shines.
Okay, it can be other ways as well.
Other way also, other way.
Okay, so can we infer it? Like sun is rising because crow is crow is speaking.
It can be inferred, but then how much robustness is there in terms of this claim is subjected to more evaluation.
Okay, anyone else? Like when we talk about the causation, so we have to be careful about like about the logical flow as well. Like we cannot say that like there is sunrise due to why due to crow, right? Like there is association, like there is a kind of positive correlation, but we cannot say that like crow speaking is causing sunrise in the morning, right? So for that, we need a
No.
scientific. Yes, please.
One is independent variable and one is dependent variable. So the impact we need to cross check whether that crow when is speaking, crow is speaking. So is there having any impact on sunrise? So I think there is no correlation.
Okay, I like when you collect the data of timing at which crow is speaking, that is around in morning 6 to 7, and again the data for sunrise is also 6 to 7, then there is the 100% correlation, or we can say like more than 90% of correlation.
One thing is that there are so many observations that we can know. We can observe, and then there are multiple observations happening in this world. And if we try to connect them, there could be some relationship in terms of if one increases, the other will increase. But then how are these related or we can say has to be a rooting in the sense that suppose that there is a theoretical anchoring. How can we relate two different observations? That what is the logic behind that? The relationship between crow speaking in the morning and the sun growing or rising. So is there a theoretical anchoring, or is there some logic because of which we are relating it? That I think is important for inference.
Yes. Like before inferring anything, we need to think about like the causation diagram, or based on this some theoretical anchoring. It can be based on their it can be based on the researchers' logical reasoning, like whether there is relationship between these two variables, or is there any logic to relate these two variables. Like there are a number of variables, and we have statistical packages that can run the any kind of uh, correlation, regression, or any kind of analysis. But first we need to think about the research question, right? It is not about data. Research is not about getting a data and just replicating and just having some correlation, regression, or same like just get it published. So research is about like how we are thinking, how we are answering a particular question, right? So basically, like Then the methods that we select based upon the research questions. Like I often see like for in our initial days, like when I was doing my master's or in the first or second year of PhD, I was also looking for some data, like just get some data, have some correlation or have some regression, and I'll get it published. But that cannot be the way, right? Because the method that we are opting for our research, that depends upon our research question, right? It doesn't mean like we are getting some data and we will do some backward engineering, right? Then what is the induction? There are two approaches to scientific reasoning. One is inductive approach and the other one is the deductive approach. So inductive approach is basically a reasoning process in which researchers move from a specific observation to broader generalization, right? It is commonly used where researchers analyze sample data and extend finding to a larger population. Like if I have to infer that, like SSDs are influencing women income. So for that, let's say I have collected data from some sample districts of Bihar, and then I have inferred that like SSDs are influencing the income of the women. So that is a kind of inductive approach. So example can be like SSD. If data from several Jivika SSDs shows that the members with regular meetings have higher savings, the researchers may conclude that regular participation is associated with better financial outcome across SSDs in Bihar, right? So basically, these approach are probabilistic in nature. Like we often we often present finding in terms of like we are saying it with the confidence interval of 95% or 90%. So we are just presenting a probability of happening. We are just presenting the likely to be true based on the observed data, based on the sample data, right? Then again, the deductive approach is kind of general to specific, like that is driven by the general theory or a principle to a specific or testable hypothesis. So deduction is a reasoning process in which researchers move from general theories or principles to a specific testable hypothesis, which can be examined using data. So basically, it is rooted in the classical logic. Deduction involves driving observable implication that must hold true if a theory or hypothesis is valid. So basically here what we do, like there are some general theoretical propositions are there, like across access to credits improves economic outcomes. Like I was talking about like SSDs influence the income of the women. So when we talk about the SSGs are what? They are providing access to credit to women. And what is income growth? That is a kind of economic outcome. So it is well validated in economic literature that like access to credit influence the economic outcome. So researchers may hypothesize in the case of in the context of Jivika, like Jivika members with access to loan will have a higher income than non-members, then test this hypothesis using a particular data. So basically, deductive approach is about going from a well-established theory to a specific context, and the inductive approach is about going from a specific context to a generalized context, right? So, but when we talk about science often relies upon both. It is a combination of inductive as well as a deductive reasoning. So, what are the characteristics of scientific research? What are the core characteristics of the scientific research? First, it must be data-driven and the evidence-based. Like scientific research is empirical in nature. Like conclusions must be derived from systematically collected data rather than intuition, belief, or authority, right? When we infer something based on our intuition, belief, or authority, it may mislead our policy decisions, business decision, or it may mislead our financial decision as well, right? Like and data collected using structured methods such as surveys, experiments, and systematic observations ensures that findings are grounded in observable evidence. So evidence must be observable, it must be presentable, right? For that, there is a need for data collection. using a structured method. It can be a survey, it can be a experiment, it can be a systematic observations. Like literature review can also be a kind of data collection technique. Like when we talk about, when we do using some methodology, then again, even when research uses a deductive logic or a mathematical model, the conclusion must ultimately be tested in real world data to establish validity. Like if we have generated some theoretical framework or some logical framework based on the review of literature, so it must be tested or it must be tested against a real world data. Like we can test that framework using the real world data. Then again, there must be some control about the methodology. Like we have to isolate cause and effect as well. Like I was talking about this income growth due to SSG. So again, when we talk about the factors that that may influence the income of any individual, it can be a number of things. So we have also isolate those endogenous variables or some other variables that may influence the outcome. So for that, we need to have some causal technique. Like there is difference in difference is there, or RCT is often RCT. We often consider it as a gold standard for cause and effect relationship. Then again, the operationalization of the construct. Like scientific research requires that abstract concept like empowerment, participation, or well-being be clearly defined and measured using scientific instrument. Like if I'm talking about, let's say one example, like financial development influences environmental quality, right? So how we can operationalize this variable? Like we cannot have a direct variable for measuring financial development, or do we have?
Sir, availability of credit can be measured, and of course, I think that is an indicator of financial development.
Okay. So availability of credit is again a kind of indicator rather than a clear picture of financial quality, or sorry, financial development. Access to credit can be one. Anything else? Like I'm talking about talking in the context of financial market.
Sir, performance of stock market, like it has, it is measured on index, and since its inception, the financial markets have grown. So that is also an indicator of continued investment and profitability of the market over the years.
Okay. So that can be one indicator of financial development. The return from the stock market.
Maybe
yes,
the high liquidity ratio, maybe, or the turnover ratio.
Okay,
or
liquidity ratio, turnover
we
ratio.
talk about market capitalization to GDP
Okay.
and all. So
Okay,
that-
market
Per
capitalization to
capita
GDP.
income,
Yes.
rise in per capita income, disposable income of people.
Okay. Anything else? So here
Financial
I'm
awareness.
talking about two variables. One is financial development, and other one is the environmental development, right? So both are very subjective. Like for someone, financial development can be measured through return. For someone, it may be measured using capitalization to GDP ratio, or for some, one can use the Sensex data, one can use the Nifty data, right? For some, it can be the per capita income or the number of retail investors in the country. And how we may operationalize, or what are the indicators that can be used to measure the environmental development?
maybe with regards to policies that the organization or the government is following with regards to preserving the people, the planet, and the profit simultaneously.
Okay. No, like I am asking about like how we can
carbon
operationalize
emission,
this. Sorry,
carbon emission
can be one.
Clean energy contribution in the total energy consumption.
Okay. The energy mix. Anything else? Okay. So like
air quality indicators, sir.
Okay. AQI can be one. So like in this webinar, we are around 30 to 40 and we are getting different answer and all are right. No one is wrong, right? For someone, financial can be measured through return, or it can be capitalization to GDP ratio, or capital flow, or FDI flow. There are different indicators of financial development in a country, right? And for environmental development, it can be the carbon emission, it can be the air quality, it can be the energy mix, it can be the expenditure on environmental development. So there are several indicators of environmental quality. So when we have to study the relationship between these two variables, like is there any association between these two variables? So first, whenever we plan this research, or whenever we objectify this research, so first we need to operationalize this clearly, like whether there is how we are measuring this financial quality development and how we are measuring the environmental quality. So we have to define it very clearly so that it can be replicable or free from other ambiguities, right? Then replication is there. Like replication refers to process of producing the result of a study in a new study using similar or slightly modified methods to verify whether the original findings holds or not. Like in the current scenario, several journals ask about the replication packages. So you have to submit your do files for STATA or your Excel file, so that how this research can be replicable in the other ways, right? Then what is the role of theory in this scientific research? So till this, we were discussing about like what are the characteristics of scientific research. Now, what is the role of theory in the scientific research? So like scientific research, when conducted systematically, replicated across contexts, lead to gradual accumulation of highly reliable body of knowledge rather than isolated one-time findings, right? So what is theory? Theory is a kind of logically coherent explanation of how and why a phenomenon operates, providing a structural way to understand the relationship between variables. So can anyone explain what is the difference between theoretical framework and the logical framework and a theory? Like we often misinterpret between these two. Can anyone? What is theory, what is theoretical framework, and what is logical framework, or what is conceptual framework? Anyone? So basically, theory is a logically coherent explanation of how and why a phenomenon operates, providing a structured way of understanding relationship between variables. So basically, a theory is a well-established relationship that can be replicated in several contexts, when we talk about a particular context or a particular scenario. So in a just in a particular scenario, we call it as a conceptual framework or a conceptual relationship, but when it can be replicated in or it is proposed to be replicated in several other contexts, so we call it as a theoretical framework. And again, when that framework has been validated using several data, several contexts, so when it got established, we call it as a theory, right? So theory is not a guess. It is well-supported explanatory framework grounded in evidence and reasoning. A good theory not only explains the observed patterns, but also generates new or testable hypotheses grounding further empirical evidence or empirical investigations, right? It helps researchers to move beyond description of causal understanding by specifying mechanism through which outcomes occur. So basically, scientific research involves continuous interaction between theory and the empirical observations, where theory guides what to observe and what to test, like how to. Based on that, we develop our hypothesis. Then data provides evidence support or refine or challenge that theory. Based on we test hypothesis using that data, right? This iterative process ensure knowledge evolves through constant testing, revision, and improvement. Right. So, what is the relationship between theory and research? So, first, observations from research studies. So, there is the initial formulation of policy, then generate predictions, then test the predictions using research processes. If predictions got confirmed, then indicates theory is useful in accounting for a phenomenon. Then if prediction returned, then indicates theory is inaccurate, right? So first, there are observations from research studies. Then there is initial formulation of theories, like based on the literature review, we got some pattern, and based on that there is some theory. Then that generates some predictions, like there is relationship between, let's say, SSGs and income growth. So we can test that prediction using a research process. First, if that prediction got confirmed, then it indicates that theory is useful in accounting for a phenomenon. If predictions refuted, then it indicates that theory is inaccurate for this phenomenon, right? Any question till now?
So there is a chain through which events turn into phenomena, and phenomena then is established as a theory. Can
Yes,
you
yes.
explain that? How a theory is formed?
Okay. So what was your question? Please repeat.
So I heard that events are if events are repeated, they are events or incidences are repeated, they are called a phenomena. And if a phenomena is occurs a number of times, then it becomes a theory.
Okay.
I have heard.
Okay. Okay. So just I'm taking in one example from Bihar only. Like we all have heard of Mukhyamantri Cycle Yojana.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So
Girl students
basically,
were handed cycles.
yes. So there is a very famous paper by Professor Nishit Prakash, who have found that, and that got published in American Economic Review. So that confirmed that, like providing cycle to girl students have influenced their enrollment rates, right? So basically, they have studied it for Bihar. Like providing bicycle to girls have influenced their enrollment rates in schools, right? So there are one evidence about it, like we call it as a evidence in a particular context. Then again, they have seen that pattern in several other contexts. They have replicated their study in Kenya, in South Africa, Uganda, and they have received, they have got a similar findings, right? So that finding is being replicated. Like if you provide a bicycle to a girl, that influence their enrollment rates, right? So again, that got replicated in several contexts. So then based on that, they have first, there was hypothesis like the girl enrollment ratio is being influenced by the use of that bicycle, or the government has distributed that bicycle to girls, but they have replicated that in several contexts. And then after that, they have confirmed that Like whenever there is a theory, like they have generalized it. Like if you provide safety measures, or if you provide some incentives, capital incentive related to bicycle or dress, that may influence their enrollment rate. And again, that enrollment rate leads to, like, there is a theory in economics, like enrollment ratio improves the human capital development, right? So like whenever we talk about the theoretical development, first there is like there is a particular finding in a particular context, and again, if that finding replicates in different other context, or a different uh, in a different scenario using different data at different time periods as well, like it doesn't mean that, like if I am testing this hypothesis in 2020 but it does not get validated for 2026. So if any hypothesis or any presumption got validated for every context or at every time period, then it becomes a phenomenon, and later it becomes a kind of theory. Anything else?
So,
Thank you, sir.
Yes, please.
thank you. Actually, you have talked about triangulation approach in research, right?
Yes, yes.
As per my understanding, is it a way to validate or credibilate the findings with the different methods of data collection or with the different views?
Oh, like it is not about validation. It is about complementing our findings, and then if you are getting the same findings across other methods as well or not. Like it is about complementing the findings rather than a kind of validation. For validation, we do robustness check.
Okay, means with
Yeah.
different
Yes.
approach, like interviews, surveys, and like that.
Sorry. No, like there are several ways to triangulate your findings, or triangulate your research. It can be data based, like it can be methodology based. Like if I'm conducting a study, currently I'm doing one study for what are the behavioral determinants of climate smart agriculture adoption, right? So
Yes,
in
sir.
that study, what we are doing, we are triangulating it in two ways. First, we are complementing quantitative data. First, we have secondary data. Then we have complemented that with primary data. So that is the first level of triangulation. Then again, we have also collected quantitative data, and then we have complemented that with qualitative data.
Okay.
Then
Got it.
again, yeah, from methodological perspective,
As well
again,
as
yes, like from methodological perspective, what we are doing, we are having a descriptive statistics, and again we have a causal inference techniques to validate that finding. And then again, we are also doing the primary field survey, primary experiment, and we will infer based on the descriptive experiment that we are conducting. So we are looking for that particular research question from several angles, and how the findings are complementing to each other. Like there are limitations of each research method or each research technique. So to minimize that impact, we often triangulate based on the data approaches, based on the data sources, based on the econometric techniques.
Yes, sir. Got it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? So do we have break for next 10 minutes, or shall I continue?
We have a break of 15 minutes. We were planning about that, sir. And after that, we were supposed to go for session 2 also. So if you permit, we can have a small break of maybe 10 to 15 minutes, as you suggest.
Okay. So session will start from?
Okay. So it's 3:54 right now, maybe 15 minutes. Ashna ma'am, is it okay?
Yes, ma'am. If the sir is okay, then we can.
So we can start at 4:10 then.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll have a short break of 15 minutes and then we'll again come back and the session will start again sharp at 4:10. So we'll be back at 4:10. Thank you so much.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, thank you.
I request all the participants to kindly join.
Thank you.
Okay, welcome back, everyone. We are now ready to begin with the session 2 of today's FDP. And the topic is understanding the research process and the role of STATA. This again will be handled by Dr. Nitish sir. So over to you, sir.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Welcome back once again. Okay, in this session, in the last session, we have discussed about how we can think like a researcher, how we can move with a research question, or what are the different approach, or how we can think of a research, how we can think like a researcher. So in this session, we will be discussing about what are the scientific processes of doing research, like how we can start with a research, how we can select, how we can start with an idea and come to a conclusion, having a recommendation for policymakers, for businesses, for society, uh, for theory. So how we can transform a simple idea into a scientific research. So basically in this session, I'll be discussing about the research processes. So when we talk about any social science research, so it is a kind of scientific processes that transform ideas, questions, and theories into a new knowledge rather than a mechanical sequences of steps. Like when we discuss about, or when we talk about any social science research, it is a kind of and transformation of ideas, questions, and theories into a new knowledge rather than just a mechanical process. So it involves an integration of theory with empirical data, and then research is guided by scientific orientation, but that is not very abstract. It is a kind of flexible approach. So research is guided by a scientific orientation, which emphasize logical reasoning, careful observation, openness to revision, because it is not mechanical. There are several factors that may influence research. Then systematic verification, we call it a witness check rather than just intuition or authority. The process is not strictly linear. Instead, it is a kind of iterative processes with constant movement between theory, data, and interpretation, right? Okay, so just have a quick example related to our research that we are currently pursuing. So basically, Bihar State Biodiversity Board has awarded a project to us to identify or uh, to understand what are the challenges being faced by medicinal farmers, those farmers who are growing medicinal plants in the district of Bhagalpur, and they have given us a sample of around 120 farmers. Like we have to collect data from 120 farmers, and we have to identify the challenges pertaining to market linkages of their medicinal produces, right? Such proposal, like we'll follow this methodology, this theory, like we'll follow the value chain technique. Then we will identify like who are the key stakeholders and what are the key challenges being faced by them pertaining to market linkages of their medicinal produce. But when we went to the field, and what we have found, like there is no value chain, there is no existing value chain. Farmers have no information about value chain, like whether they can sell their produces or not. And again, These are some institutional barriers. And then surprisingly, there are handful of farmers, like the total number of farmers in Bhagalpur district who are producing some medicinal plants, that is just around 30 to 40. So based on that field visit, we have to redesign our research question. Again, we have to redesign our research approach, like rather than going for an empirical quantitative technique, um, we come up to a qualitative technique so that we can identify their challenges, because in a quantitative technique, it is difficult for us to get some inference based on just 30 or 40 samples. So what I'm trying to say, like this is not a kind of strictly linear or a strictly process based. It is a kind of iterative process with constant movement between theory, data, and interpretation. Right? Any question? Okay. So what is data in scientific research? So scientific research often relies on data which are systematically collected pieces of information used as evidence to evaluate theories and answer the research questions. So data can be quantitative, which are numerical or measurable. It can be income, saving, and data can be qualitative. Those data which are non-numerical, like experiences, perception, right? So data must be empirical, meaning they are based on observed reality, either directly through senses or indirectly through instrument and measured techniques. Like we collect data upon the Likert scale. Then the credibility of research depends upon how carefully the data has been collected, measured, and interpreted, right? So what is the difference between quantitative approach and qualitative approach? Like I'm just talking this broadly. So quantitative approach seeks to measure objective reality using numerical data, and qualitative approach seeks to understand the social reality and meaning as constructed by individuals. Quantitative data focuses on variables and their relationships. Like in the last session, I was discussing about two constructs. One is financial development and second one is the environmental validity. But when we talk, there can be both approach to answer that relationship. When we talk about quantitative approach, it focuses on variable and their relationship. Like for financial development, we have to define some variable, and for environmental quality, we have to define some variable, and then we can measure that relationship. When we talk about qualitative approach, it focuses on processes, interaction, and lived experience. Like the example that I was talking about the market linkage of medicinal producers in Bhagalpur. So in that, we don't have, or we have limited quantitative data to validate our hypothesis and to develop. So like if there is no value chain, there is no market. So we have to understand like where things are lacking. We have to identify what are the challenges being faced by farmers, what are the specific challenges to them. So for that, we have opted for a qualitative approach. We went for focus group discussions, key informant interviews. So basically, it helps us to understand like what are their processes, how they are selling their product, like what is the current practices that they are following. So basically, this approach focuses on processes, interaction, and their experience. Then quantitative approach emphasizes on reliability and consistency of measurement. Then again, the qualitative approach is about emphasizing authenticity and depth of understanding. Quantitative approach aims to be a value neutral and objective. Qualitative approach recognizes that values are present and influence research. Quantitative approach treats theory as and data as a distinct, but when we talk about qualitative approach, is views theory and data as a interconnected and evolving together. Like when we talk about any theory development from qualitative approach views theory and data as a interconnected rather and both evolve together. Or in quantitative approach, it basically been used to test the theory using data. Then again, quantitative approach attempts to produce findings that are independent of scientific context. Qualitative acknowledges that findings and are context dependent and situational. Right? Quantitative approach uses large sample, and when we talk about the qualitative approach, it uses a small focus sample for in-depth insights. Like there is a rule of thumb in statistics, like for quantitative approach, we need at least 30 samples, depending upon the number of independent variable, but minimum we need 30 samples. But the exact number of sample size depends upon our context, depends upon the number of independent variable and so on, or the power that we are taking. Then for qualitative research, it uses a focus sample for in-depth insights. There is no minimum sample size, but in qualitative research, the sample size we define based upon if we are getting same answer or a duplicate answer after 12 or 13 FDGs. So we may stop after that, right? Quantitative approach relies upon statistical analysis and numerical techniques. For qualitative, we relies upon thematic analysis, narrative, and interpretive analysis. Like there are different softwares that can help in thematic analysis, narrative, or interpretive analysis. Like for thematic, there is R, NVivo, and so on. And for statistical analysis, again, there are several softwares like R, use, Microsoft Excel is there, STATA is there. So in this session, we will be discussing about quantitative approach in detail and how STATA can help us in statistical analysis and what is the role of STATA in a quantitative research. So, and again, the quantitative approach is objective in nature, and qualitative approach is researchers, it is kind of subjective approach. So researchers is actively involved and engaged in the research setting. So researchers may influence the data collection, or the findings may influence by their intuition or their biasness. So what are the different steps that involved in a quantitative research project, research processes? So first step is about selection of topic. And that after the selection of a topic, like if you are selecting any topic, so it is very broad. So then we need to specify some research question. We have to develop some or prepare some question. Then we have to design that study. Like we have to operationalize all the variables based on those research question. Then we have to collect data, then analyzing the data, then interpreting the data, and then communicating our findings to inform others about recommendations to technical audience as well as non-technical audience, right? Any question? Okay. So now I'll be discussing these all steps in detail, like how we can select the topic, how we can formulate the research question, then how we can design the objective, and what are the different data collection techniques in very brief, then how we can analyze the data. So first, like how we develop any research. So first we need to define our area of interest. Like if I'm talking of myself, so if my research interest is development economics or public policy, so I'll try to have a research objective in my particular area of interest, because every research requires some interest, so first we need to have our research interest, like in which area we are planning to work, or what is my area of interest in which I'm willing to work. Then we have to formulate the research objective. Then there is a need for operational definition. So how we can define our area of interest? So it can be based on relevance. So how we can confirm relevance? Anyone? Like any five participants who can tell their research interest? Any five?
Sir, rural marketing.
Okay, rural marketing. Okay. Why?
Sir, I wanted to understand the challenges that rural artisans are facing to market their products in
No.
urban spaces.
Okay. So this is your uh, research objective. Like why you have opted for this rural marketing? There are different other disciplines as well, other domain as well.
Well, sir, I felt that it needs to be studied. It makes a credible impact on the society. Rural India forms around 2/3 of India's population, so they are in a significant number.
So you have opted this based upon the relevance in the Indian economic context. Okay, anything else? Any other?
And also, sir, livelihood.
Okay, livelihood, and this rural economy directly relates with several SDGs. SDG 1 is there, like no poverty. Anything else?
So behavioral finance.
Behavioral finance. Why?
So because actually I want to study about the irrational factors that affects or behavioral factors that affects at the time that affects an individual at the time of investment.
Okay. Okay. Why there is so much buzz about behavioral economics or behavioral finance? Because these approaches are relatively new in comparison to other approaches.
And traditional finance challenges that individual always take decisions on the basis of rationality.
Yes. So again, there is a kind of innovation. So that's why we have been shifted from traditional or classical economics or classical finance to behavioral economics or behavioral finance.
Yes, sir.
And again, we also think about acceptability of our area while choosing our area of interest or while deciding our area of interest, like whether they are being acceptable by funders, acceptable by publishers, and so on. Like currently, several individuals, you all know several in your contact working in the area of climate change, whether from us or in the area of sustainability. Because there is acceptability, that is the alarming issue that we all are facing. So there is a need for solution for sustain.
Yes,
pertaining to climate. Yes. So again, like my area is also climate change. I work in the area of climate change environment. So the papers that is being published by several journals, so they are accepting papers pertaining to these challenges because these are some real-time challenges that we are facing right now. Then cost effectiveness is also there. Right?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yes. Then ethical issues are also there while deciding the area of interest.
Yes.
Whether that area is being aligned with my value system or not. Right?
Right, sir.
Okay. So how we can define the relevance? How we can there is a very famous paper got published in the Academy of Management Journal, which talk about like how to select the topic or how to define your research area of interest. So it can be based on the current relevance. Like if you don't have any intuition, so you may look into the challenges or the issues which has been discussed or has been highlighted in the Sustainable Development Goals. Because whether it is no poverty, gender equality, or education, or no, sorry.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Electricity. Okay. Then again, how to select? So after that, selecting a broad area of interest, then we have to select some topic. Like it cannot be behavioral finance, it cannot be rural marketing. So we have to select a particular topic to work upon, right? So research begins with the identifying a broad area of interest which may emerge from policy concerns or professional experience or theoretical curiosity, right? Like policy concerns, we talk about the climate change. From professional experience, like from ongoing research, we may get some new ideas to work upon, right? Then based on the theoretical curiosity as well, like if someone is working in the area of behavioral economics and they have seen like how institutional can influence the behavioral factors of a consumer. So one have some curiosity in the area of institutional economics or or to study the institutional framework, right? So topics are generally general and explorative and not yet suitable for empirical testing. So basically it is about uh, topic. I'm not talking about a research question or research objective. It is just a general or explanatory topic. Like if my area is behavioral economics or let's say environmental economics, so what I'll be going to study. So then there are several topics in the environmental economics like welfare estimation, climate change economics, energy transition, and so on and so forth. Consumer behavior is there. So which topic I'll be studying? So then after the broad area of interest, we have to define our topic. How we can select the topic? Again, we can look to the we can look to the SDGs, we can look to the several indicators, right? What else? Anyone? Like while deciding or selecting a topic?
So about our area of curiosity or locality or gap.
Gap is there, research gap. Anything else?
Yes, sir.
Research gap based on the literature review. Anything else apart from that?
Its significance or its we can say its implications in our society.
Its policy significance in the current scenario.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anything else? Like we often we do not discuss about like the funding opportunity.
Yes,
right?
sir. Yes, it is. Yes.
Yeah, like we do not discuss about like if funding opportunity. So funding opportunity may influence or it influence the topic selection as well, right?
Yes. So
Okay, we
100%.
often like it influence our decision like which topic one should select, right? Like when
Right.
I have started working in this area, so I've seen that like 2 days before a paper got published in the NBER, National Bureau of Economic Research. In that, it has been highlighted that agriculture and climate change has received maximum attention in recent 20 years in the area of economics. So definitely, why people are working so much upon agriculture and climate change? Because there is funding opportunity from funding agencies.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Definitely.
So that also influence our decision to select the topic. First, we need to have a broad area of interest. And again, like it doesn't mean that like if I'm working in the area of climate change or have developed some expertise for last 2-3 years in the area of environmental economics, one cannot work directly for funding opportunity just in the area of labor economics or some other domains, right?
Right.
So we also need to take care of that. Then again, as you have discussed about the literature insight for the topic choice, so significance.
The data collection also presents a challenge. The
Yes.
Availability of primary and secondary data.
Yes. That also influence our decision while selecting a topic. Like I have one example. One PhD student was discussing about working upon how blockchain technology can influence our energy transition decision in the context of India. So she had some discussion with me and I've just suggested like you have to find individuals who are utilizing or opted for some similar technologies so that you can collect some data. Otherwise, you don't have any data. Like we don't have secondary data on blockchain pertaining to energy transition or new energy technologies. So again, we need availability of data so that we can, based on that availability, we may define our topic. So finally, she has changed her topic. And what else?
Basically,
Then,
resources.
yes,
One
resources very important.
Resources in terms of doing the desk job also requires resources. Number one.
Yes.
Number two is collection of data, and then the third I think is having expertise or access to expertise or network, where if I get stuck or if I want some help, I can get it. If some specific type of technique I want to use, but I am not expert or I don't know about it. So how I can get access to that tool at the same time, some expert whom I know, some kind of network. All these actually somehow influence the decision to select a topic as well.
Yes. So these are also some factors that influences our decision to select or decide a topic. Like it can be our network, it can be our expertise, it can be resources in terms of individuals, in terms of financial resources. Like if we have selected some topic for which we have to spend too much money, but we don't have a funding or we don't have resources for that. So again, we have to drop that data. So the topic must be feasible, must be accessible, or must be doable within a time constraint, right? And then next one is, after selection of topic, the next step that involves in this that is developing a research objective and research question. Then first you have narrowed down your area of interest and you have finalized your research topic. Then what is your intent or what do you want to check or get justification? So objective should start with two along with some action work. It should be actionable, measurable, and reproducible, right? Like if you have narrowed down your research topic, like in this example, I was talking about impact of SSDs on rural livelihood. So what could be the possible research question based upon that? Like for example, it can be to understand the impact of SSDs on rural livelihood, to measure the influence, to measure the increase, to to evaluate the influence of SSDs on their income. So these are some examples, and then focuses on research questions. So a broad topic and objective can be next to be narrowed to a specific research question, often guided by prior literature and theory. So these steps involves identifying what are the key variables, population, and expected relationship. So continuing with this example, do women participating in Jivika SSGs have higher household income compared to a non-members in rural Bihar, right? Then again, the next step is to design the study. So what is the purpose of study design? So here, first we have identified our area, then selected a topic, then have some research objective, like to assess or to evaluate the impact of Jivika SSG membership upon their income. Then we have developed a research question, like do women participation in Jivika SSGs have higher household income compared to a non-members in rural Bihar? So then we have to design this study. So we have come up with some research question. Then the next step is to decide like how we will operationalize this research questions, how we will answer this research questions. For that, we need to design this study. So it is a kind of systematic system thinking. So study design is a stage where the research question is translated into practical and executable plan, ensuring that study can generate valid and reliable evidence. It involves making a structured decision about what to measure, whom to study, and how to collect data, all guided by theory and feasibility. So what is the operational definition? Research begins with the abstract concept like income, livelihood, empowerment, which must be converted into a clear and measurable variable through operational definitions, right? Like I was talking about financial development. So first we need to operationalize this of variable. How we can operationalize, or if I'm talking about income growth or livelihood improvement. So first we need to define that uh, into a operational variable, right? So a operational definition specifies exactly how the concept will be measured. So for any research question to be to make it reproducible, first we need to define it very precisely, like exactly how the concept will be measured, while ensuring consistency, precision, and replicability. Without clear operationalization, research finding becomes ambiguous and difficult to interpret or replicate. Like for example, there is one concept like if we talk about women empowerment, or I was talking about financial development. So operational development can different for different individuals. Like it can also define in terms of participation in household decision making, yes or no. It can be control over their finances, and it can be their attendance in the SSG meeting that includes per month. So first we need to define all those constructs, the research question. Based on the research questions, first we need to define what are the key constructs. Then we have to operationalize those constructs into variables so that we can have some relationship, or we can have some statistical analysis to establish that relationship. And the next step that involves in designing a study. So that is the sample, who to study, who will be our respondent. Uh, uh, the researchers identify the target population and select the sample that represents it. Like if I am talking about, for example, if I have to study the adoption of electric vehicles. So if I have to study the adoption of electric vehicles in the state of uh, Bihar, so whom do I survey? I'll survey with the potential car buyers, or the individuals who are using car, so that we can understand their perception, their behavior, like why they are adopting, and what are the factors that contributing to their decision making, how they are shaping their decision towards purchasing a vehicle or towards adopting a car, or what is their perception about electric vehicle. So first we need to identify like what will be our target population, and based on that we have to select a sample that represents it. In the case of SSG, like if there are 500 households in rural Bihar, so SSG members and non-SSG member, so we have to decide like how many SSG member will be taken into consideration for this study, and how many non-members. Like it is not feasible to collect data for all the members in Bihar. So for that, we need to identify, first we need to define like who will be our target sample, target population to study. And then after selecting the sample, we need to define like what will be our, whether we will be studying the population or we will have some sample. So in social science research, it is difficult to collect data from population because it is very difficult given our time constraint, given our financial constraints. So as a researcher, we often rely upon sample data. Then what to measure? So variable that must be measured using reliable and valid indicators, ensuring that accurately reflects the underlying concept. Like for example, income. So how we can measure that income? It can be their response upon monthly household income, education, years of schooling, participation, like whether they have SSG membership or not. Like if I'm talking about like whether they are climate aware or not. So how we can measure that? Like if we ask from anyone, like do you care about climate or environment? Definitely they'll say yes, because individuals often relies upon the politically correct answer. But for that, we need to have a reliable or a valid instrument so that we can collect that data. So we can have a 3-point or 5-point Likert scale having different statements. So that we can record that response, like how much individual is climate aware or how much individual is environmentally concerned, and so on and so forth. Then the methodology. So I was talking about the Likert scale. So for that, first we need to define like a structured household or a survey question, household survey questionnaire. The researchers select an appropriate method such as survey, experiment, or secondary data analysis depending upon the research question. Like I was talking about this SSG. So again, how we can measure, how we can collect data for this research question, like do women participation in Jivika SSG have higher household income compared to non-members in rural Bihar? So first, the simple technique can be that, like we can collect data for the income using survey from different households, from non-member household as well as from SSG members household, right? Or we can have secondary data analysis based upon a district level analysis or a state level analysis based on the administrative data, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Then, but how we design the study? So it depends upon the theory, the guiding theory, like what relationship we have to test, the feasibility, the data availability, time, cost, and assess, right? Like when we talk about any causal question, like does this policy has influenced the income or for anything? So we consider RCT, randomized control trial, as a gold standard, right? Because in that case, one group has intervention and other group does not have any intervention, and we are comparing it based upon the real-time basis. So we often, but and implementing a RCT is very financially risky, and it also requires a lot of financial resources. So that is not possible if we don't have that financial access. So for that, we use causal inference techniques or quasi-experimental techniques that involves DID or PSM. So it depends upon the data availability, like whether the data is available or not, or time constraint, cost, and accessibility, right? Then how we collect the data? Data collection is the stage where the research design got implemented and abstract variables has been translated into observable and measurable information. Like if we are talking about household income or income of individual, so how we can measure that? Like income we can ask it directly, like what is your income? But if someone is not telling their income, so what proxy that we can use? It can be like what is their monthly consumption. Based on that, we may calculate their income, or we may use that as a proxy for that variable, or we have to operationalize that variable using different other indicators as well. Like for example, if I'm talking about the educational level, so how we can ask that? It can be whether you are literate or illiterate. It can be one level. It can be like primary, secondary, senior secondary, or degree, diploma, and so on and so forth. Then we can also ask in the terms of like years of schooling. So which one is the most accurate? Years of schooling is the most accurate. So we always see that like NSSO, DHS use that technique. So data must be collected in a systematic, consistent, and in a standardized manner, ensuring comparability across observations while reducing measurement error and improving the reliability of the data set. Data can be collected through multiple methods. It includes survey and questionnaires, kind of a structured response, then interview and focus group discussions for in-depth insights, observation based on the transact work, and then existing secondary or administrative data. In quantitative data, data is typically recorded in numerical form, where each row presents a unit of analysis. For example, it may be household, it may be individual, it may be
a district, or it may be a nation, it may be a time period, right? And each column represents a measurable variable, enabling a statistical analysis of relationship for meaningful and credible analysis. For this, data must be accurate, complete, and consistent. And after the collection of data, the next step is the analysis of data. Like we have some data, we have to interpret that. Like I was talking about the income, the SSG membership influence their income. So for that, we have to analyze that data. Like here, just for example, so how we can analyze the data? We can have descriptive statistics, inferential statistics, or predictive analysis like regression, for inferential, we have hypothesis, we have t-test, chi-square test, and so on. Then we also uses descriptive statistics to infer findings from our data. Like example can be mean comparison of SSGs and non-SSGs. We can have some kind of comparison, or we can have also regression, like income is being influenced by SSG membership or not. Like we have also taken two other variables in this regression model, that is SSG, that is 0 or 1, then education level, and then age. So based on those tables, then we need to interpret our results in relation to our research question, theory, and existing literature. So researchers consider alternative explanations and limitations. Like for example, in one of my research, what I have found, like there is insignificant impact of carbon emission on the electric vehicle adoption. But in the theoretical literature, it has been found that carbon emission directly influence the adoption of any new technologies. But in my case, I got it insignificant. So I have to interpret that result. Then the data that I have collected in my research, that I have collected in Patna. So what I have found, like in my questionnaire, there was some questions related to how much you are aware about carbon emission. So I have found that from individual with whom I have interacted and collected data, I have found that they have a very limited awareness of carbon emission, or they have a very limited awareness. So what I have found, so due to that awareness, like they don't so much, they are not aware about the carbon emission from vehicle or how they can influence. So I have found that that's why they are not caring so much about carbon emission. But the second variable that I have used in my research question, if you'll not adopt that electric vehicle, this much percentage of individuals will be admitted in the nearby hospital. So that is the direct abstract impact of pollution on the health. So I found that variable significant. So what does it infer? Like initially, people are not concerned about the carbon emission because that is a kind of long run phenomenon. But people are concerned about the nearby or the abstract impact of the air pollution rather than the long run impact of the climate change or the carbon emission. So that I have to justify, like that I have to interpret in my result in relation with my research question, theory, existing literature, and the context of the study as well, right? For that, researchers consider the alternative explanations and limitations, right? Okay, then how we can communicate our findings? So effective communication is essential because scientific knowledge accumulates only when findings are shared, scrutinized, and compared across studies. So for journals, there is a widely used format, that is IMRAD format. That is, first we have to report the introduction, like what is the background of the study, what is the hook of the study, like what is the motivation of the study, and what is the novelty, and how this paper flows, and what was the existing work in this area. Then again, M stands for methodology, R A stands for result, and D stands for discussion. Then ended with the conclusion. So that is a kind of generalized format, and we also have to like we have to be very careful, like when we talk about any quantitative research, so we have to be very careful about making the recommendations. Like we don't have to generalize our recommendations based on our finding. Like it must be data supported, it must be evidence based, so that it can have some impact, right? Like researchers should avoid claim of proof, instead presents evidence with appropriate persons and limitations. Like we also have to report our communications. So where's the role of STATA? So when we talk about the research pipeline, we have theory, first theory, then based on theory, we have developed our research design, then data has been collected to validate, to operationalize that research design, then analysis. So the role of STATA is here in the analysis of the data. So STATA can be used mainly for data preparation, for cleaning, structuring, organizing the data set, statistical analysis, examining the relationship between variable, then output generation for table summaries and regression results. But where STATA, what STATA does not do, does not build any theory, does not design the research. So we have to design it by ourselves, then does not interpret the result. So STATA can help us in cleaning the data. STATA is particularly very beneficial for large scale data, like the researchers in development economics who works on unit data like NSSO data or LASI data, NFX and DHS data, Demographic Health Survey or National Family Health Survey. They uses STATA to clean the data, to tabulate the data, to structure the data, or to organize the data, right? Then statistical analysis to examine the relationship between variables, then for output generation. So why STATA in comparison to, there are several other softwares as well, like Excel, STATA, SPSS, sorry, R Python. So Excel is primarily used for data entry or basic analysis, descriptive regression, and so on. It is easy to use, but not suitable for rigorous research, not suitable for panel data research, particularly for fixed effect techniques or difference in difference. Then SPSS, it is also used for statistical analysis. It is manual driven, user friendly, but limited flexibility for advanced work. Like in the current version of SPSS, there is option for writing a code, but still that provide limited flexibility. Then R and Python, they are advanced and they are used for advanced analytics, machine learning techniques. They are highly flexible and powerful, and they're also open sources that requires programming expertise. Like the learning curve is very high in this in R and Python. But what is when we talk about STATA, so it is primarily used in the applied.
You are not audible. Sorry to interrupt, sir. You are not audible right now, Nitish, sir.
Whenever we work upon any research, we can save the do file from importing or from developing the data to analyzing to reporting the data. Like we can also export the data set, the findings of the STATA in our LaTeX document or in our R Markdown, or we can also import that result into publishable format from directly from STATA to any Word document or LaTeX or R Markdown. So that is the facility available in the STATA, and they also STATA have a do file that presents the reproducible document for your research. Then STATA have a econometric depth, particularly in terms of the panel data analysis. Like there are several packages. So similar to R and Python, STATA also do have some packages. So that is our things. And then for panel data, like extract is there for fixed effect, random effect. XT, DID, regress is there for difference in difference. Then for instrumental variable, again, there are some variables. Then for causal inference, T effects are RD robust. XT did request, CS did for the recent continuous TID, data management and efficiency, because STATA can solely is a kind of complete software that can be used for cleaning, transforming, and structuring the data, as well as the analysis of data. So it also promotes the data management and efficiency. Then STATA has a clean and publication ready output. As I was discussing about, like the result can be directly imported into any reproducible report. Then acceptance in academic and policy communities, like you can see the documents by year. Like I have searched the term STATA in the Scopus, and I have found that like there is exponential rise in the use of STATA in recent decade, in the last decade particularly, right? Then, but again, what is the limitations of the STATA? Like there is flexibility, and again, you have to learn some program, particularly for the data cleaning and particularly for handling the large scale data. And the visualization, when we talk about visualization in STATA, that is again very traditional, very general, but in the packages like ggplot2 or by using Python, we can generate better data visualizations in comparison to STATA. Then again, STATA is not an open source software. It costs around 2 lakhs per user. So again, there is a licensing cost, and STATA has some limitations, like in terms of machine learning, in terms of utilizing machine learning techniques and modern data types, because R and Python is so much flexible that we can write program for any technique, any modern technique or any econometric technique. So it is not that much flexible. So that is about the limitations of the STATA. That's all from my side. Thank you so much. Any question?
If anybody is willing to raise a question, the house is open. You can ask.
Sir, two questions. First,
Yes,
what do you mean by panel data? And here is, you mentioned that STATA is used for large data sets. So how many? What is the number of data points we are talking about?
Okay, the first question. What is panel data? So panel data has both cross section as well as time series data. Like for example, if you have collected data for income from 20 household over 10 years, right? So you have data for let's say 100 household, and you have collected data for their income for 10 consecutive years, like from year 2010 to 2020. So you have data on both time series axis as well as on the household level. So you have data for one household for 20 years, right? So you have data for each cross section at different and time. So that we call it as a cross sectional panel data. So it is a combination of both cross sectional data and panel data. Sorry, cross sectional and time series data. Yeah, and you're asking about one large scale data. So STATA can be used for any type of data. Like I have used it for 30 data points as well. But STATA is efficient in handling large scale unit level data. Like for example, NSSO data, like which has sample point of around 1.25 lakhs, or DHS data which has sample of 4.5 lakhs, right? So we can handle those data efficiently in STATA rather than other softwares like Excel or R.
So compared to SPSS, in which type of research you suggest the use of STATA?
Okay, so basically SPSS is enough for
on
basic
design
research.
qualitative
Yes.
versus quantitative, or if we go for a mixed method, so which one would you suggest?
Okay, so STATA is particularly for quantitative research. It is purely for quantitative research. And for SPS, like you can use SPSS for studies involving psychometric skills. But for STATA, you need to have a clear quantitative variables only. And
Thank you,
like
sir.
for basic analysis, you may use both, any of them, but for advanced panel data regression or any panel technique, I would I personally prefer to use STATA rather than, and like STATA has some packages or a direct output, so that STATA is bit easier for panel data in comparison to other software.
Thank you so much, sir. Anybody else would like to ask something?
Yeah. Any other question?
Sir, do we need any approval before collecting data for questionnaire? I'm audible, sir?
Yes, you are audible. I think Nitish sir's network is not there. Sir, you're not audible. You've been muted. You are not audible,
sorry?
Nitish sir. Now you're audible. There is a question from Abhishek sir. You can ask.
Yes.
Sir, do we need any approval before collecting data? As I want to do my work on collecting data through on health aspect.
Please repeat.
I want to do my work, PhD work through questionnaire. Do I need to get approval?
Okay. So you are talking.
Nitish sir, your voice is breaking. You're not audible.
About
Your voice, yes. Now.
Okay. Okay. Just I'm switching.
Now you're audible, sir. Now you're audible.
Prior approval before data collection, right?
Yes.
Okay. So yes, there is a need for prior approval from your institutional review board before collecting data in which there is involvement of human subject. Whenever you are collecting data involving human subject, there is a need for prior approval from your institutional review board or research ethics committee based upon the institution. Like for experimental research, there is a need for approval from institutional review board. Like there is a internationally accepted guidelines for institutional review board, like how you'll collect the data, and based upon that, while submitting your survey instrument, there will have a they will review that instrument, and based on that, they'll provide you and the approval. So before collecting any data which involves any human subject, whether it is survey or experiment, it is preferred to have a approval from the institutional review board or institutional ethics research committee, because these days journals ask about the approval from institutional review board or institutional research ethics committee and so on and so forth. So there is a need for prior approval.
For any kind of questionnaire, because I want to study about the perspective of human on e-waste, that how they are affected or different questionnaire.
Like it is preferred to have approval, but for experimental studies, it is necessary to have approval from institutional review board. Like the journals, particularly having ABDC A ranking or A star ranking, they ask about your approval.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Welcome.
Okay. With this, we come to the end of day one of this faculty development program. Let us carry with us the essence of today's learning, and we do hope we'll be bringing it to refine our research capabilities and broaden our intellectual perspectives. Faculty development programs are not merely academic exercises. They are platforms for intellectual exchange, innovations, and professional growth. In the words of Leonardo da Vinci, learning never exhausts our mind, so let's keep learning. With this, we come to the end of this FDP. respected Vice Chancellor, Amity University, Patna, Dr. Vivekanand Pandey, sir, Controller of Examination, Dr. Sushil Kumar, sir, Registrar and Deputy Director, ARC, Professor Dr. Kishore Bhattacharjee, sir, Head of the institution, Dr. Rekha Tiwari, ma'am, and Dr. Ajit Kumar, sir, Distinguished Resource Person, Dr. Nitish Nigam, sir, Honorable faculty members and my dear participants, it is my privilege and honor to propose the vote of thanks. I extend my deepest sense of gratitude to our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Dr. Vivekanand Pandey, sir, for his inspiring motivations and presence throughout. Your visionary insights have truly guided us, and it sets a meaningful direction for all of us always. I would also like to express my sincere thanks to the Controller of Examination, Dr. Sushil Kumar, sir, and our Registrar, Dr. Kishore Bhattacharjee, sir, for their constant guidance and unwavering support. I convey my heartfelt appreciation to our respected heads of the institution, Dr. Rekha Tiwari, ma'am, and Dr. Ajit Kumar, sir, for their continuous encouragement and support in organizing this academic initiative. Ma'am and sir, your leadership consistently inspires us to strive for excellence. I would like to extend my sincere gratitude to our dignitary resource person, Dr. Nitish Nigam, sir, for delivering such insightful and enriching session. Your expertise in research methodology and your practical guidance on the use of STATA have added immense value to our learning experience. My sincere thanks to all the faculty members and participants who actively attended and engaged in today's session. Your enthusiasm and commitment to learning are what makes such programs truly meaningful. As rightly said, learning is a treasure that will follow its owner everywhere. I would like to acknowledge the dedicated efforts of our IT team, whose seamless technical support ensured the smooth conduct of this program. Your invaluable behind-the-scenes contribution is deeply appreciated. Last but not the least, I extend my gratitude to each individual who contributed directly or indirectly to the successful organization of this faculty development program. Thank you all for your active participation and engagement. Wishing you a truly enriching and inspiring experience throughout this program, and do hope for your presence for tomorrow's session as well. Thank you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
We'll start our next day's program sharp at 3 p.m. So kindly be on time. Thank you so much.